Welcome to your lecture on 4 basic feminine archetypes. According to Jung, the human mind has innate characteristics imprinted on it as a result of evolution. These universal predispositions stem from our ancestral past. Fear of the dark or of snakes and spiders might be examples. However, more important than isolated tendencies are those aspects of the collective unconscious that have developed into separate subsystems of the personality. Jung called these ancestral memories and images archetypes. The mother finds her identity and fulfillment in cherishing, nurturing, and protecting. Her instinct is to assist all that is unfolding and in the process of becoming. She sees where other people need assistance or protection, and she goes to their aid. She encourages others to develop themselves, and she supports whatever is in need of nurturing or help. She attends to the comfort and security of whomever she nourishes. Mother will usually arrange her outer way of life to include marriage or a nurturing profession, such as teaching or nursing or social work. If she marries, mother will be concerned with the career, security, social position, and paternal qualities of the father. She will protect and promote whatever enhances his role as father. At times, he could feel like a son or provider rather than a husband and companion. In conversing with other adults, she often refers to her husband as father or dad instead of using his first name. The dark side of the mother shows itself in anxious nursing, smothering mothering, and a lack of trust in the other's strength. She might protect and assist when the other person never required it in the first place. Her fears, her prejudices, and even her religious fervors may infiltrate into those in her care, filling them with a life that is not their own. Pause the video and jot down any thoughts or memories that arise when contemplating the mother archetype. Hetera finds her identity and fulfillment in being a companion to others. Hetera is the Greek word for a female companion and for a class of women who were trained to be companions to men. Hetera companions others intellectually, spiritually, and sexually, though not necessarily all three. For her, the relationship is everything, and all else is subordinate to the relationship, be it with a man or a woman. Like mother, this is a personal way of relating, but it is individual rather than collective, very much one-on-one. Hetera is instinctively related to the personal psychology of anyone she befriends. She will convey to another person a sense of personal value. Hetera's own development requires her to experience and realize individual relationships in all their dimensions and depths. She promotes the individual interests of her partner or her children, regardless of the consequences for family image or security. She is not preoccupied with how her actions appear to others. Social position and financial security, which are a concern for mother, are quite secondary to the Hetera. A particular function of the Hetera is to awaken the individual psyche of the male, and to lead him beyond his role responsibilities toward the formation of a more total personality, often in the second half of life. Hetera helps to put a man in touch with his unconscious, and most males need a good hetera at some point in their lives. Women who are effective spiritual directors for men are often heteras. The relationship with a man need not be sexual. It will not usually become sexual unless a certain depth and psychic consolidation have been reached. For some heteras, this might happen quite quickly. Hetera must learn what belongs to a relationship and what does not, and this is where her dark side can show itself. She can put a man in touch with himself, or she can lead him astray from himself. She must learn to let go when a relationship has fulfilled itself, or when the relationship should take another form. She must be careful about turning one form of companioning into another, like intellectual or spiritual, into sexual, when this is not called for. Hetera needs relationships and often prefers to accompany or to be accompanied rather than to go alone. As a result, she can too easily set aside her own interests or activities, or even her personal values, in the name of a relationship and for the sake of companionship. A hetera with children who does not bring her hetera nature to consciousness can turn her sons into boyfriends and her daughters into girlfriends, tying them to her with apron strings that are as restrictive as those which an unconscious mother can tie around her children. In brief, the difference between mother and hetera is this. Mother finds her identity and fulfillment in doing for others. Hetera finds hers in doing with the other. Pause the video and jot down any thoughts or memories that arise when contemplating the hetera archetype. Amazon finds her identity and fulfillment in managing the outer world. If the term Amazon evokes unattractive or merely muscular women, substitute it for Wonder Woman, who is an Amazon. Amazon is instinctively drawn toward outward achievements which she wants to accomplish for herself. She is independent and self-contained. The Amazon is often a woman who is committed to an ideal or a cause and who fights for it in public. This does not imply that all Amazons are forceful and vocal extroverts who, at their worst, try to impose their opinions on everyone. The Amazon might also be a quiet introvert who finds her fulfillment simply in seeing that things are managed well. Many sportswomen and women prominent in public life are Amazons, as are the able receptionists who make themselves indispensable in their offices. Many women who do not feel sufficiently taken up by their home or their personal relationships dedicate themselves to a task and find fulfillment in accomplishing in the outer world. There are also Amazons who stay at home and keep the family and household running smoothly. Women who think of their marriage as an accomplishment more than a relationship are usually Amazons. In her relationship to men, Amazon can be a refreshing comrade who makes no demands. She and the male act as mutual challengers, and her own psychological development does not depend on male response unless she lets it. Success and independence are her watchwords, professionally and in her personal relationships. Amazon must learn to be patient with what is undeveloped in herself or others. She must be careful not to misuse her relationships with others. Since she is so concerned with achieving, she must learn to be attentive to her own values and feelings and those of others, and not to view them as awkward complications. And since she is so independent, Amazon has to be careful to recognize that there might be legitimate authority and wisdom outside herself. Pause the video and jot down any thoughts or memories that arise when contemplating the Amazon archetype. Mediatrix, or the mediumistic woman, finds her identity and fulfillment in mediating the world of the unconscious. She is immersed in the psychic atmosphere of her surroundings, the spirit of her time, and especially the collective unconscious. She senses what is going on under the surface of a group or an event, and she is drawn to voice it or act it out, whether this is appropriate or not. She is often affected by the unconscious of another person, and she sometimes has dreams on behalf of others. If she learns discernment, she can give a voice or a shape to what is unseen and unconscious to others. She is not usually a very public person in her role as mediatrix. Mediumistic women sometimes find a place to exercise their particular genius in arts and skills that society considers more or less esoteric, such as counseling, creative writing, painting, astrology, graphology, and herbal medicine. The mediumistic woman has an important role in mediating the world of the collective unconscious to men. She often finds herself assisting other people in dying, especially men. In some cases, she might be aware of what she is doing, but often enough her role is unplanned and unconscious. If she lacks focus and direction, the mediatrix will often subsume elements of her own personality in the personality of the man she loves. It is very important for this woman to become aware of her mediumistic qualities and to acquire discernment. If she is not discerning, she will be overcome by the puzzles of the unconscious. She will be vague, unfocused, confused, not knowing what thoughts and feelings are her own. The mediatrix can have a very positive and productive influence on others, provided that she develops a strong and healthy ego, a task which is more difficult for her than any other archetype. If she does not develop a strong ego and find a life-giving work, she will never become a true mediatrix, and she will only be a source of confusion and a disruptive force in the lives of others. The Amazon and Mediatrix archetypes both have to do with a way of relating to the non-personal or apersonal world. While Amazon finds her identity and fulfillment in managing the outer world, Mediatrix finds hers in mediating the inner world to herself and others. Pause the video and jot down any thoughts or memories that arise when contemplating the Mediatrix archetype. At this point, you may have identified a primary archetype that you resonate the most with. In the later half of life, one secondary archetype emerges and calls for attention. This is not likely to be our opposite archetype, but rather an adjacent one. People who are not sure about their dominant archetype can often name it by deciding which of the four stories least describe their values and priorities. Ask yourself which roles energize me, which activities drain me. This figure illustrates the opposite and adjacent archetypes. So say that you most resonated with the Amazon archetype. Your secondary archetype is not likely to be the one directly across from it, which is the mediatrix, but rather something next to it. So if your primary is the Amazon, you're more likely to have your secondary be the mother or the Hetera.